Hi guys, it's Amanda, and if you're anything like me, you spend way too much time on your technological devices. I am by no means anti-technology or anti-social media. It's a big part of my life, clearly, and I'm really thankful for it. But as of late, I'm really trying to improve my pretty parasitic relationship between technology and my attention. And in this particular relationship, I consider my attention to be the host and technology to be the parasite that is sucking my attention away from my actual life. At some point, I realized that during like 90% of my waking hours, I was either consuming content or being stimulated by technology in some type of way. And it was really eerie to realize that I hadn't been alone with my own thoughts for an extended period of time in years. I feel like for the past decade, I've been in a continuous state of consuming thoughts that are not my own, and this year I really want to change that. As you can probably tell, because my video before this was a digital detox, which you can watch if you haven't seen that already. But yeah, real solitude and real time alone with your own thoughts is really hard to come by when you have the ability to be constantly connected at your fingertips. But the benefits of solitude include creativity, greater understanding of self, and ironically, even closeness to others, and these are all things that I really want to improve in my life. Of course, it's not feasible for myself or most people to go completely off the grid for weeks or months at a time in the name of solitude, which is why I'm starting to microdose solitude in my life. Yes, I too am physically shuddering because I just uttered the words microdose solitude. In all honesty, I just want to show you guys how I've incorporated more time alone with my own thoughts in my daily life and how you can do it too if you want to. If you're not addicted to your phone / social media / technology, first of all, I'm jealous of you. Second of all, these tips might seem like no-brainers / common sense. On the other hand, if you are like me and have spent most of your formative years glued to a screen and now you can't seem to get unstuck, I think these tips can be pretty helpful. Before I get into that though, I would like to thank Care of for sponsoring this part of the video. Care of is a wellness brand that makes it easy to get the right vitamins and supplements for your needs. They sent me vitamins that I've been taking for a couple of months, and I really trust them as a brand because they're really transparent about the research and the sourcing behind every product. How it works is you take a simple 5-minute quiz and answer questions about your diet, your health, your lifestyle, and your wellness goals. Then, Care of puts together a personalized vitamin pack for you that can be shipped to your door every month. So here is my pack of vitamins. So mine includes magnesium, vegetarian collagen, B-complex, and rhodiola. I initially wanted to try out Care of because I think it's super important to take care of my immune health in a holistic way, especially when it's super cold outside, and it definitely has not disappointed me. Also, the personalized daily packs are made with eco-friendly compostable film, and you can find out how to compost them at takecareof.p/eco. You can also get 50% off your first order with my promo code AMANDAM. So take the quiz using the link below and find out what vitamins and supplements Care of recommends for you. But first, hear me out about microdosing solitude. So the first thing that has helped me a lot is clearing non-essential apps from my phone. So when I have that instinctive urge to pick up my phone for absolutely no reason, there is quite literally nothing for me to look at. It's why I currently don't have Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or even email on my phone because it's so easy to mindlessly tap and scroll through those apps while you're standing in line or even like waiting for a file to download. I found that if my attention was not occupied for even a split second, I would immediately turn to my phone. But when I stopped giving myself unlimited access to these apps, I started to use them way more intentionally. For example, now I really only let myself go on Instagram if I need to post a picture or a story or message a specific person. And when I do that, I'll let myself like scroll and tap for a little bit. But even then, I kind of realized that after being off of it for a few days at a time, I haven't really missed much of anything, and I don't have that desire to scroll endlessly. It also helps that I hate the new layout of the app. My next tip is to add a website blocker to your laptop. This might seem kind of implied or redundant because of the first tip, but I do have to say it because if you're anything like me, if there's a loophole, you will go through it. If my laptop has unfettered access to all the same social media and websites that I spend way too much time on my phone, I will essentially tether myself to my laptop in that same exact way, and it's not that much better. So it's really helpful for me to use website blockers on my laptop because it is a device that's very essential for me to do work on, but even with a simple Google search, I can find myself going down like Instagram or Twitter or Reddit rabbit holes. At first, it does kind of feel like the end of the world when you can't immediately reference a specific tweet or Instagram post, especially if it's for like a school or work reason. But after a while, you get used to it, and it does really help me stay focused when I actually need to get stuff done. Okay, this next tip is something I thought of recently after reading a book. I spent a few hours reading, and my first instinct when I finished the book was to immediately check my email and YouTube. I was like, I just finished reading all these words, like, I deserve to see what's going on the internet, right? It's weird because looking back in that moment, I really felt like I had potentially missed something that occurred in my life because I was disconnected and because I was reading for a few hours. I had to remind myself that I was actively living my life by reading, that I am not in fact a sim, and that I don't have to be connected to the internet in order to experience my life. I was basically treating whatever may have happened on my computer as my real life, as the life that I needed to get back to. And it's never the other way around. I'm never like on my computer, I'm like, oh wait, let me get back to my real life. Like, I don't know, I considered the internet to be my real life, which is weird and kind of scary. So I literally set a timer for 5 minutes and made myself wait and simply bask in my own existence for 5 minutes before going to check my computer. This might seem kind of dramatic, but there are really times where I like get the urge to go on my phone or go on my computer, and I'm just like, why is this so urgent? Like, nothing about it is actually urgent. So I kind of just have to force myself to be like, this is your life. Like, this is as urgent as it gets. Like, you're living right now, you know? And you know what? Sometimes setting a 5-minute timer is how I have to force myself to really realize that. So my fourth tip is to do mindless activities intentionally. Whenever I have to do a relatively mindless activity like cleaning my room or cooking or getting ready each morning, I always have a playlist or a podcast or a YouTube video or a TV show ready to listen to. And if you can multitask while doing those things, you know, why shouldn't you? It feels like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And honestly, that's true and that's valid, but in my case, it got to the point where I was so used to this that I physically could not bring myself to do these mindless tasks like checking my email or getting ready in the morning if I wasn't simultaneously consuming content. Like, I could not go to the bathroom unless I had my phone with me. It would be like, that's fucking scary, going to the bathroom by myself without my phone. So I think it's a good challenge and a good way to be alone with your thoughts for even a small amount of time if you start doing these kind of mindless things without consuming content. I definitely think if I do this habit enough, it will get to the point where I don't have to think about actively not consuming content. I'll just be like, oh, I need to do this thing. I don't necessarily need to be like listening to music or a podcast in order to do it. Like, I'll just do it. I also found that when I'm not consuming content, when I do these mindless tasks, I actually end up doing them way faster, because usually if I'm like listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video, I will like literally stretch out my mindless activity to however long that piece of content is. And I realize it takes me a very unnecessarily long amount of time to get ready, because like this is what I would be doing every single day. I haven't even perfected this yet, and I recommend that if you want to start, just like start small. Maybe say, I'm not going to bring my phone into the bathroom anymore, or on this day of the week, I won't listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video while getting ready. I'll just do it with my own thoughts. Tip 5 is pretty simple. Just pick a time to power down and stick to it. This is definitely something I'd recommend doing with anything that has a screen and is distracting, maybe besides like an e-reader, I guess. But yeah, I would recommend powering down your phone and your laptop and your TV at the same time, so you really don't have like an excuse to be like, oh, I turned off my phone, so I guess I'll just watch TV the rest of the night, because I've definitely done that in the past, and it defeats the purpose of the powering down, if you will. But if you want to start small, I think it is good to start maybe with just like one device, like your phone, and then work from there. And also, I think it's helpful to start with specific days of the week to power down at a certain time. Like, say on Monday, I will power down at 11 p.m. and just stick to it. And if you can do it for that one day, chances are you can probably do it for more days than that. I found that when I incorporate this tip, I fall asleep way faster, because there was definitely a point in my life where I literally would like refuse to even put my head on a pillow, like if I did not have a TV show playing. Like, I thought that I could not fall asleep unless I was watching TV. And that's physically just not true. In fact, it's like way better to fall asleep like with darkness, or maybe even with reading a book, as opposed to like staring at a super bright screen. So yeah, I would highly recommend this. Okay, so tip 6 is one of my favorites. It's go on walks without your phone. My therapist first told me this tip, and when I first heard it, I was like, no, that's crazy, could never be me, like, will not be participating. But when I finally did try this, I felt so free and like in touch with myself, because the option to be connected was just no longer at my fingertips. Like, I didn't have a choice but to be present in my own life. I really found that due to my lack of self-control, that the only way I could be really and truly disconnected was if I physically distanced myself from technology. At this point for me, it really does have to be out of sight, out of mind, or more accurately, out of several hundred feet of my reach, out of mind. And I totally understand that this might not be feasible for everyone, like if you have to be on call for your work. So if you can't fully physically separate yourself from your phone, or that there might be people who really need to contact you, just be like, hey, I will not be on my phone for the next 30 minutes or hour or however long. Put your phone on airplane mode, put it in a bag. I found that like I cannot have my phone like touching my person, or else it's just like I don't feel disconnected enough. Like, I can't even feel it. So if you still need to have it with you, I would definitely recommend like putting it in a bag so you can't like actually feel your fingers on it. The sight of it or even the feel of it can be temptation alone to just pull it out and like casually check the time, and then like you see a notification and go down a whole thing. My next tip is to start journaling. This is pretty self-explanatory, but I feel like one of the most intuitive ways to really engage with your thoughts and your thoughts alone is simply by writing them out. And please do not think about how eloquent or poetic you may or may not sound. Getting a pen and notebook and writing down what comes to your mind is enough. Also, I know a lot of people sometimes don't want to journal because they have no idea what to write about, so I would recommend like searching writing prompts, or even just start by like describing your surroundings and see where that takes you. Journaling doesn't have to be this deep, intimidating, and intellectual process, because it really is just for you, so you don't have to impress anyone. Just remember that when you're journaling, you don't have to be like profound or get any crazy revelations out of it. It's really just like the act of it and the act of like processing your thoughts that I feel like is the most helpful thing about it. But some days I add journal to my to-do list because it just ensures that even for the whole day, I'll at least spend like 5 minutes with my own thoughts. My 8th tip is to really read for pleasure. And by this I mean seek books that you enjoy reading so much that it really rivals scrolling through Instagram or whatever other digital content you like to consume. And even though I'm saying books, that can definitely include ebooks or audiobooks if that's what you have. Of course, reading is still technically consuming content, so it's not completely being alone with your thoughts, but I still feel like it engages your brain more actively, as opposed to other forms of content that kind of just keep on coming at you. I feel like with reading, you have to work a little bit harder to comprehend each sentence so you can understand the next one, so you can make sense of the whole big picture of the thing, This is all to say that I think you should genuinely read books that you are truly interested in, because I think the act of reading alone is just really good for your brain. Obviously, bonus points if you read books where you can learn something new though. For example, these are some books I read in the past few months. These are all books that I like low-key just like read it in a day. There is no other feeling than just like being so enamored in a book and you just read it in a day. It's so fun. It's not like they're super deep or hard to comprehend. They're like the chick flicks of books. I feel like I get the benefit not only of entertainment, but it helps with linear and deeper thinking that the internet inherently detracts from. Tip number 9 is to schedule time to consume content as opposed to constantly and mindlessly consuming throughout your day. This is definitely something I have not mastered, but I really want to. And honestly, you can schedule as much time as you want to. The focus isn't necessarily the amount of time that you spend on the content, but the fact that your default state is not consuming content and that you reserve time for that, and it's not just always coming at you no matter what. So honestly, be realistic if you want to set this goal for yourself. Start from a pretty reasonable place, and if you need to set aside 6 hours a day to consume content, do that, but just make sure that you're not mindlessly consuming content outside of those set hours. And the last tip, which I've been trying to implement a lot more in my life, is replacing connection with conversation. I know this tip might seem a little bit out of place because this is a video about solitude and spending time alone with your own thoughts. I am including this because I feel like I used to spend a lot of time on social media connecting with people, and I was like, okay, well, this is how I'm getting in my social interaction, when in reality connecting with people doesn't really fill the human void that we all need to socialize with others, but conversation does. And conversation, whether it's face-to-face or over the phone or on FaceTime. I learned about this after reading Cal Newport's Digital Minimalism, but connection is essentially what you do over the internet. It's liking and commenting on people's pictures and following people, but conversation is what occurs when you are actually interacting with someone else's voice, whether it's face-to-face or on the phone. But a lot of people, including myself in the past, actually get the two confused and end up replacing conversation with connection. You end up liking and commenting on someone's Instagram picture instead of taking the time to call them. Conversation and connection are not made of the same substance. The way I think about it is that connection is kind of like junk food with empty calories. In moderation, it's fine. Too much of it is not really healthy for you, and if that's all you live on, that's really not a good idea. And I really do want to emphasize again that conversation just means that you are speaking to someone. It doesn't necessarily have to be in person or even on FaceTime. So I would really recommend using connection, also known as social media, and texting as a catalyst and as a tool for conversation rather than as a substitute for it. I've had really awesome and fulfilling conversations with people that I never would have met if it wasn't for social media. So I'm so grateful for social media in that way, but also it wouldn't be the same if we were just liking and commenting on each other's pictures, but we never actually talk to each other, whether it was face-to-face or on the phone. And this can be as simple as setting a goal hey, I'm going to FaceTime this friend this week instead of just texting them. And especially during this time, people are really receptive to talking on the phone or Zooming if you're not that close, or even if you've never met in person before. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that these tips were helpful or inspired you in some way, and I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback below. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!